Hi guys, I want to talk to you about hopelessness, more specifically about overcoming hopelessness, especially during this holiday season, 2020. Man, it has been a crazy year, and if we're honest with ourselves, 2020 has given us a lot of reasons to settle into a state or a feeling or an emotion of hopelessness. So what is hopelessness by definition? By definition, it means I have no expectation of anything positive or anything good. Now I'm going to say that again. Hopelessness is when we don't have any expectation of anything positive or anything good. It's an overall feeling of despair and desperation. In short, hopelessness will steal your tomorrow. It steals your dreams. It steals your reason to get out of bed because you have no expectation of anything positive or anything good set in motion for you. It is the inability to look past your current circumstance, the inability to look past your current status, whatever it is, whether it's physical, financial, whether it's relational, whatever the thing is that you are placing your hope in and you're hoping to change becomes your source of hopelessness. Now, I've just given you a tip here on how to shift your mindset into a state of hope. And that is to identify your source of hope. So we want to start by identifying what has been your source of hope. Has the government been your source of hope? Has your finances been your source of hope? Has your spouse been your source of hope, or another relationship? Maybe your source of hope has been in staying well and not getting COVID. All of these things are variables. They are things that we can't necessarily count on. And while we can have faith in those kinds of things, we can pray about those things, there's only one true thing that we should place our hope in, and that is God and God alone. And this is where our hopes begin to look up. Now, if we're honest with ourselves, the world would say that hope is wishful thinking, that it's when we wish or we can't wait to get through a particular circumstance. But God is more interested in changing your heart than he is in changing your circumstance. He wants you to learn to place your hope in him and not in your situation, your status, your relationships, whatever it is. And he wants to grow and mature your heart and your mindset so that no matter the circumstance, no matter what's going on in our culture around us, you can be filled with hope. This is God's design and his desire for you and I. So what is the biblical definition of hope? I'm going to actually read it to you. It is the confident expectation. It's not just an expectation. It is the confident expectation of what God has promised. So I want to take you back to the things that God has promised you. God has promised he will never leave you. He will never forsake you. God has promised that he will be your provider. And I could go on and on and on of the things that he has promised. But tip number one is identify your source of hope. What has been your source of hope? And listen, you got to be honest with yourself. Before you flippantly say, of course God is my hope, be honest and say, what is it that I have been looking forward to that isn't happening, that is stealing my hope and is causing me to feel like there's nothing positive and nothing good? Because God is a God who is always working everything out for your good. That's what it says in Romans 8:28. Let me read a couple of verses for you. In Ephesians 1:18, it says, I pray that the eyes of your heart may be enlightened, in order that you may know the hope which God has called you to, the riches of his glorious inheritance, which is his character living inside of you. It's his fullness, his person, his love. That's the hope that we have. But isn't it true that we're looking around us for hope instead of within us for hope? Let me go on. In Isaiah 40:31, it says, but those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. Hope in what? Hope in the Lord. Hopelessness will steal your energy. It will cause you to feel faint-hearted and weary. But in Isaiah 40:31, it's saying that those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. It goes on and it says they will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. Come on, I don't know about you, but I want that strength. I want to shift my eyes from the things around me to God and God's presence within me. That's a hope that never fails. It's a hope that never disappoints. We've got to identify what is the source of hope in our life. And remember, before you automatically just assume it's God, be honest with yourself so that you can be set free from hopelessness. Let me read this last verse to you from Hebrews 10:23. It says, let us hold unswervingly to the hope we profess, because he who promised is faithful. Listen, are you confident in God's promises? Because that definition doesn't say I'm expecting God. It's saying I have a confident expectation in God. And if you are not confident, and that's okay, that's probably the source of your hopelessness. You're looking to everything around you to lift you up, to turn things into good, to turn things into positive. And that might not happen, but there is a good and a positive thing going on inside of you. And God is more interested in changing and shifting what's going on inside of you than he is in shifting and changing what's going on around you. So I want you to take this tip. Take some time to be honest with the Lord. What has been your source of hope? Is it God, or has it been things around you? Shift your eyes, shift your heart back to God. Put a confident expectation on his promises for you in your life, and walk in the fullness of his hope all the way through the end of 2020. All right, so this is your tip in overcoming hopelessness. And remember, enforcing purpose, it starts with you.